Hey guys, welcome into the PNC Bank Sports Corner. Michaela Vernava here, joined on the line by Doug Kyde, our Patriots beat writer. Doug, Bill Belichick said today, Thursday, that the Patriots are preparing as if their game against the Broncos will go down on Sunday. And he said they're preparing as they normally would. But how is that possible when Patriots practice is canceled because of coronavirus?
It really is impossible to prepare like you normally would for this game, simply because they are just in those virtual meetings. And yeah, they're used to the virtual meeting process because that's what they were doing during the spring, during OTAs and minicamp. Those practices weren't held. Patriots were only in those virtual meetings via WebEx. But this is a completely different animal during the season. Nothing replicates those in-week reps that the Patriots try to get before their games. And this is a situation where now, for the second straight week, if Cam Newton can't play in this game, then the Patriots starting quarterback will be going into the week or going into the game without getting any first-team reps. That's what happened last week when Cam Newton tested positive on Friday. Brian Hoyer was trying to go into that game only having taken second-team and scout-team reps. Now this week, regardless of whether it's Brian Hoyer or Jarrett Stidham, the most they're going to get is just a Friday practice in, and there's no telling if the Patriots actually will practice on Friday at this point. They would need another round of negative tests. So if you're talking about Jarrett Stidham entering possibly the first start of his NFL career, having only practiced once or 0 times during the week, that's obviously a completely unideal situation.
So a very uphill battle the Patriots are facing this week. As you mentioned, the quarterback situation already unclear. And then we have Stephon Gilmore test positive for COVID-19 this week. So the Patriots, potentially without arguably their best offensive and now best defensive player. So how can they even really compete at this point?
Yeah, I think the good thing about this week is that they are playing the Broncos, who have a lot of pieces missing as well. I hate to diminish them, but Drew Lock probably won't play. Noah Fant, their star tight end, is probably going to be out. Wide receiver Cortland Sutton is out for the season. Then you even get into some of their backup pass catchers like KJ Hamler is probably not going to play in this game. So if you're looking at the defense as far as replacing Stephon Gilmore goes, they've got some really good pieces still left in their secondary with J.C. Jackson and Jason McCourty, Jonathan Jones, all the safeties that they have on their roster. And really all they'll be having to cover is Jerry Jeudy, who was the first-round pick, very talented player. But then Tim Patrick, Deshaun Hamilton. It's not exactly like you're facing the toughest version of the Broncos offense in this game. At quarterback, it is a different story because you're talking about either Brian Hoyer or Jarrett Stidham there as the starter. Neither quarterback looked very good. I personally think the Patriots should start Jarrett Stidham, even though, as I was just saying, definitely not an ideal situation for him where he's only going to get at the most one practice before he plays. But I just don't see how you put Brian Hoyer back out there on the field after the mistakes that he was making, taking sacks on third down. I think there's at least a higher upside with Jarrett Stidham. And I personally would just like to see what he could do with a full week preparing to start that game. I know, like I said, he's not going to be practicing, but at least he will have known that he would be the starter heading into that game, rather than last week when he had to come in midway through the third quarter down by, 8 points or whatever it was at that point.
All right, well, it will certainly be interesting to see what goes down. Thanks, Doug.
PNC Bank, helping to make banking easier.